Hi everyone and welcome to episode 77 of the Talk is Cheap show. Hope you're all well, healthy and COVID free. Thanks everyone for tapping in today. As usual, we truly appreciate your support and I do believe we've got another excellent show lined up for you today, during which we shall look at Arsenal's last game since our last show, Arsenal's impressive end of season winning run. We will look at our Ops of the Week and the upcoming game at the weekend against Brighton, the finale in Arsenal season, last game of the season. We'll also look at, can Arsenal overhaul our deadly rivals Tottenham? And if so, and if results go our way, we will feature in the inaugural, elaborate, fantastic Europa League conference tournament. So we'll discuss all of that. And, you know, I'm sure Curtis has got a lot to say about that. But before we proceed with the rest of the show, please indulge me while I formally introduce my co-host, analyst, and good friend. Joining us on the show today, the hard-hitting, the honourable, the humble, the hilarious, the hypnotic, the heroic, the humongous, the highly entertaining. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big digital round of applause for Curtis Shaw. Oh, Curtis Shaw TV in the house. What are you saying, bro?
Do you know what? I'm always just waiting to see what letter you begin with, bro. The intro gets better every week, man. Although you called me humongous, I haven't put that much weight on during lockdown, have I?
You know what? I knew it. Humongous as in stature.
I know, I'm joking, man. I'm joking.
It's simply humongous.
No, big up, man. Happy to be here and looking forward to the show, man. As you said, Conference League settings, man.
Going back to the intro, as we were on the H's, I sort of dithered around calling you handsome, but I thought people might get the wrong idea, man. You know?
Yeah, I think we have to leave it there. We got Jamaican background, man, you know.
I thought about including that and I thought better not, because I thought the comments will be could get quite see that. But hey, man. But yeah, man, nice to have you back on board. Tell the people what you've been up to, bro, since last week.
Just same old, man, you know, back in the gym, making content. The weather's a bit crazy right now, isn't it? Umbrellas out in May, typical English weather. Just same old, man. Season's winding down. So, yeah, just see where we end up.
I see you've been pretty prolific on the content stuff, man. I've been watching a lot of your stuff. It's always highly entertaining and highly informative, man. You know what I mean? It keeps me abreast of what's going on. Arsenal, yeah. Man, keep up the good work. Okay, yeah, so without any further ado, bro, because I'm aware of time. I know you got things to do. I've also got things to do. And I'm sure our viewers out there, they've got plenty to do as well. So let's keep it rolling. So, game since the last show, man. I think it could be said it was on paper anyway, a tricky away-looking fixture, wasn't it? Against Crystal Palace. Palace are at home, had the fans back in the stadium. And we know at Crystal Palace, their fans always make a decent amount of noise. Yeah. They won their previous game against Aston Villa 3-2, so they were coming into that game on some pretty good form. And we were also told prior to the game that their manager, Roy Hodgson, it would be his last game. So you would imagine that their players are going to be mad up for that. So would be the fans. So, yeah, that was on paper a tricky-looking fixture. And we went with a 4-2-3-1 formation of Leno in goal, back three of, back four, Tierney, Gabriel, Holding and Chambers. Midfield of El Nene and Partey. Just in front of those two, the three of Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe and Pepe. And the lone wolf up front, Aubameyang. So when that team came out an hour before the game and the formation, what was your thoughts on that, bro?
Do you know what? For once this season, I was actually pretty happy with that team. I mean, there may have been one or two little bits I would have changed, but do you know what? I was quite happy with it. Pepe starting, Saka, Smith-Rowe, and Aubameyang up front. You know, Gabriel was back in. I didn't really have a problem with it. Cedric seems to be the forgotten man. I reckon something's got to have happened with him because he can't get a kick. Martinelli, maybe I would have liked to have seen start, but obviously Saka's been in form, and I was glad to see Pepe play. So, no, overall, I was pretty happy with the team selection.
What's happened to Laka? He's not featured much recently, has he?
I mean, he had that injury, didn't he? He came back, and I think obviously he's got a year left on his contract, man. Maybe the manager's thinking about moving him on, which if you're going to move someone on, you don't really involve them too much. So he's got some big decisions to make on players in the summer.
Yeah. Well, it's pleasing to see Pepe back in.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about him in a minute. Okay, so the key moments of the game then. It was a pretty entertaining game, actually, has to be said. The key moments, 35 minutes into the game, great link-up play between Saka and Tierney. Tierney, great cross in, finished off well by Pepe, so we go 1-0 up. As is customary with Arsenal, we don't keep leads very well.
No.
And Crystal Palace started to work themselves back into the game. And in the second half, 62 minutes, a good cross by Andros Townsend, headed finish by Benteke, who always seems to find form against Arsenal. There was some slight controversy about that goal. Some people suggesting that it should have been offside. What was your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think they did a VAR check, right, and they said it was on. To be honest, I just thought it was poor defending. You know, Benteke, like you said, he's one of these guys. He can go 6 months without scoring. He plays Arsenal, and you guarantee he's going to get a goal. So, and he actually played quite well for them as well.
Yeah, he has been in some pretty decent form recently. I mean, he scored in their game previous to that as well against Aston Villa. So I think this season, in terms of goals, Benteke is doing a lot better than as he's done in previous seasons. But there was some controversy around him as well, because a lot of people have said he'd been lucky to stay on the pitch after that looked like a forearm MMA smash into El Nene's face. What did you think about that incident?
I think he tried to say, didn't he, that El Neni grabbed him. He tried to push him. Yeah. I've got to admit, I thought the Schlupp tackle was worse than the Benteke one. You know, he put studs. I think it was Chambers, studded him on his ankle. To me, that's a straight red. It's the same tackle what Aubameyang got sent off for against Palace a year or so back. So the Benteke one, I mean, if he'd have got a red, I could have understood. But you know, I'm not certain whether it was or not. But I think the Jeff Schlupp one was definitely a red, in my opinion.
No, I would agree. And like you said, it's ironic that Benteke gets away with that and ends up getting what was then the equaliser. So
yeah.
But anyway, the game progressed on. It looked to all intents and purposes it was going to end up a 1-1 draw, which let's be honest, most Arsenal fans probably would have taken. But we showed some late spirit there, and into injury time, an Odegaard cross, and Martinelli, as enthusiastic as ever, nips in at the back post and gets a couple of touches and puts it in the back of the net, puts 2-1 up. So thinking, the game's definitely won. And then a couple of minutes later, another individual brilliant effort by Nicolas Pepe, a man who we've often touted on this channel, myself and you. We've often been mystified as to why this man doesn't get more games. And he's he's letting it be known, man. You know what I mean? Every time he's scoring his game, he's running over to the camera, and I'm thinking to myself, there to the fans and the managers, is to say, hey, man, you know what I mean? I'm not getting any games, man, but when you do give me an opportunity, I'm scoring. And I have to say as well, with Pepe, man, he scores good goals, doesn't he? I mean, listen,
he does.
We often debate this in the office, but I think technically he's amongst our better, if not best players on the ball. I would say Aubameyang is probably our best player, but in terms of technical ability, I would say Pepe's right up there. What would you say about that?
No, I would agree. I think he's one of only a few players that you feel he can just make something happen out of nothing. He's just got to be more consistent. I saw a stat that he's got 19 goals and assists in 25 starts this year. I mean,
I was going to say, it's kind of hard to be consistent when the manager doesn't give you the opportunities. You know what I mean?
There you go.
He would say that. He goes, I'll be consistent if the manager gives me the game time. You know what
I mean, he played really well against Palace, so he'll probably be on the bench against Brighton. You know, it'd be so typical of Arteta.
Exactly. That would be his reward for scoring a double and winning us the game against Palace will be to come off the bench against Brighton, I guess. But hey, I don't know what goes on in the head of that manager sometimes. But So we get the win. Another good win, 4-4 now, and we spoil Roy's send off. But you've got to be professional. So, what was your overall thoughts on the game?
Look, do you know what? I didn't think we played great. I thought first half we played all right. A few good crosses and a few half chances. Thought second half we started very slow. I don't think we had a shot on target until the 80-something minute. So we were a bit passive in the second half. But listen, we finished the game well. I always think it's good when teams can score late goals. It shows that belief that you will keep going till the end. And Odegaard puts in a great ball. Pepe scores another good goal. Martinelli gets a goal. No pressure FC, mate. I told you, when the pressure's off, this team are like Barcelona, mate. But, you know, the problem is when the pressure's on. That's the question marks where they still lie. But listen, it was a good win. I don't think we've beaten Palace away from home for a few years. Yeah,
you're right. And what you said there, you kind of preempted my question, which was going to be, is that, 4-4 now in the league. Is it any coincidence that all of a sudden the pressure's off and we're performing? But I think you've answered that in the affirmative. So, you know what? Just to sort of touch on that for a minute. I mean, it is kind of strange, isn't it? All of a sudden, there's no pressure on. And, I mean, we get these four. And listen, that maybe some of the performances have not been great, but those are some good results here. Like you said, beating Palace away like that. We haven't done that for a while. We normally struggle against them. And I was looking at that game in advance, and I was thinking, the fact that Palace had won their previous game, they were playing well. People like Benteke were on form. It was Roy's last game, last home game anyway, in front of the fans. The fans were back, or a certain amount of fans anyway. Palace fans always create a good atmosphere. London derby. And, I mean, and when that game was at 1-1, I was thinking to myself, as you probably were, I'll take a draw. You know what I mean? But to go out and get the win like that was very good. They kept playing till the end. And so you're forced to ask yourself, where was this a few weeks ago when we really needed it? You know what I mean? But I guess we don't want to dwell on that too much. But that's a recurring question, though, isn't it?
It is, where was
it a few weeks ago? So, okay, then. So, and what I'm about to say next kind of ties into our next segment of the show, which is our Ops of the Week, because it kind of sets things up nicely now, doesn't it, for this game at the weekend, which is the match 38, last game of the season, season finale. Listen, we got a very winnable game at home against Brighton, and if we win that game and other results go our way, although some people say they don't want this to go our way. For example, Everton, they don't get a result at Man City. If they don't beat Man City, which, let's face it, on paper, you would have thought not. And their arch rivals down the road, Tottenham, they're away to Leicester, and they seem to be in, let's face it, they're going through it at the moment. There's lots of problems there. So I would imagine, let's just say it's unlikely that they're going to beat Leicester at Leicester's ground, when Leicester still need the points possible Europe qualification for them. So if we beat Brighton, well, as well as finishing the season above Tottenham, which, let's face it, it would have seemed very unlikely up until a few days ago. We get that double whammy, if you like, innit, of finishing above Tottenham. But then we also qualify for this Europa Conference League, the inaugural Europa Conference, this glamorous tournament that UEFA up. So, what's your thoughts on that, bro? I mean, do you want to qualify for it?
I mean, when you think that we moved to the Emirates to compete with Bayern Munich, and we're probably going to be competing with Bognor Regis, never mind Bayern Munich. So, listen, I would love to finish above Tottenham in a time where we've got really nothing as bragging rights. At least, let's say that. But qualifying for the Conference League, man, it just makes us a bit of a laughing stock. It's a let's be honest, it's a shambles of a competition. It's just UEFA trying to earn more money, get more games, on TV. It's for teams that are pretty much so bad that you can't make it in the Champions League or the Europa League. And I can see us ending up in it. I can just see us falling into it. It would be so typical of Arsenal. But, I mean...
I think it's fair to say that you and a number of other fans that I can think of, and I'd have to include myself in that, don't want to go in this tournament because of the sheer embarrassment of it.
Yeah.
But okay, so listen, last week we spoke about this as well, and I know that during the week you've sort of gone away being the kind of football expert and sort of personal football that you are. You've done a little bit of research into that. Tell us a little bit more about the actual tournament itself for the benefit of our viewers who might not know. Being the football you are, you've actually done a bit of research on it. So
I've done a bit of research because
knowledge, bro.
A lot of people were messaging me on my channel and saying, you know, I've actually never heard of this competition. They thought I was making it up. So initially it was supposed to be called Europa League 2, but I think they thought that would be a little bit embarrassing. So they've called it.
They thought that would be the real deal, you know what I mean?
The real deal, that one.
Yeah. So it sounds too much like the truth.
Yeah, exactly. The final's in Albania next May. The stadium's only holds 22,000, so they're not expecting fans to flock over there, are they? Only one team can go in from each major European country. So there's only one from England, France, Spain, Italy, and Germany. So there's not going to be a whole heap of great teams in there. I think that they said they made the trophy to help the smaller nations get more teams in it. So I think there's teams from the Faroe Islands, from Northern Ireland, you know, from Wales. You know, you'll be playing against plumbers, electricians, your postmen, you know, all them guys. And they said here that kickoffs for these games, the games are played on a Thursday, so we still might feel a bit Europa League-ish, but the kickoff times are 4:30 in the afternoon. So, I mean, a lot of people will be at work. 6:45 and 9 p.m. They don't want it to clash with the Europa League games at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Although I can't see too many people taking time off work to watch fixtures in the Europa Conference League. But yeah, carry on, bro.
Yeah. So, and if you win it, you qualify for the Europa League. So, and the teams that finish third in the Europa League group, they drop out into this competition in the round of 16. So it's literally the losers of all losers competition. Wow. And the funny thing is, I was just reading this, right? The teams that finish 7th in these major countries qualify for it. And the team that is 7th right now in Spain is Unai Emery's Villarreal. Wow. So we probably would still find a way not to win this competition.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
So, oh dear.
So when would this tournament likely start then? It would have to start quite early, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it says the qualifiers for it start on June the 15th. But obviously, if we finish 7th, we go straight into the group. So, well, your passport's going to get stamps on it from places you've never heard of this year, mate. You might be playing on parks, on AstroTurf. So it's not really the most prestigious of tournaments, let's put it that way.
And I understand the manager, Mikel Arteta, has actually been trying to talk this competition up a little bit. Isn't that right? I think you were saying that you'd heard comments from him, and he was suggesting that it might not be as bad a tournament as people are trying to think after all.
I think the way they were trying to dress it up was like it's an opportunity for the young players to maybe get some additional football, but there's no way of dressing this up, you know. There's nothing you can do to dress this up.
Well, listen, you could put flowers on top of a turd, but it's still a turd. Do you know what, right? I've spent the last 3 or 4 years getting used to the Europa League music, and finally I've just managed to accept it and enjoy it. Now I'm going to have to possibly learn another song, you know, and try and make this one work. So we're a million miles away from the Champions League, aren't we? We can't even see it right now. So I think it's fair for me to say to you that if in the event you had a choice of qualifying for that tournament and not qualifying, you would probably not want to qualify for it.
No, I wouldn't. No, because again, you've got to have a bigger squad. It's traveling. They're going to move games to Sunday. I know you don't have to play your strongest team, but it's just a bit of a waste of time. I think they're better off just concentrating on the league and the domestic cups next year. But don't be surprised if we're in it, mate, in the Faroe Islands on a Thursday night, you know.
But would you take it if it meant finishing above Tottenham?
I mean, I suppose I'd have to. You know, I've got to have something, some bragging rights, and say we finished above them. But it's like
the Tottenham fans say, we finished above you. We finished 7th, and we qualified for the Europa Conference League, and you didn't.
Yeah, it's not much to shout about, is it? But they're losing Harry Kane. You know, they can't laugh at anyone right now. So
no, they can't.
I mean, yeah.
So okay, and if we don't, then we finish 8th. I mean, we finished 8th last season. So I mean, I'm going to ask you about this next week when the results are finally in. But just briefly, what's your feelings on the season? I think I know what you're going to say, but just for the benefit of the viewers out there who may not have seen you before, give us what your thoughts are so far. I mean, we're either going to finish 7th or 8th or something like that, or around that time, or 9th. But so what's your overall thoughts?
For me personally, I would say the worst Arsenal season in my lifetime as a fan. I think it's been an absolute embarrassment of a season. And I see all these stats coming out now that we're 2nd in the league since Christmas or something like that. You know, you can always find stats to dress something up. You know, the season don't start when Santa Claus drops presents through your roof. You know what I mean? You got to start the season in August. So it's been a shambles. It's been a shambles. We won the FA Cup. We got Aubameyang to sign a new deal, and it's just gone downhill. And let's face it, we should be in that Europa League final. You know, there's no way for me that we should have got knocked out to Villarreal. So yeah, I think it's been terrible. If ever there was going to be a year that fans couldn't go to the stadium, I'm glad it's been this one, because I wouldn't have wanted to watch this.
No,
so, you know.
Difficult viewing.
Yeah,
what do you think do you think it would have been as bad, though, had the fans been there, though? Do you think that there's an argument for saying that, you know what I mean? Because normally we don't perform. I mean, we've lost 7 games at home this season.
Yeah.
Let's face it, we don't normally lose that many games at home. So, I mean, I know it's the same for everyone, but do you think that that we were one of those teams that was severely disadvantaged by not having fans in the ground, or what? Or do you just think that, you know, you don't want to draw too much from that? You just not going to make any excuses, basically, and say, look, you know, it is what it is.
Do you know what it is? Like, Laurie, we go to the Emirates like every home game. You know, the Emirates it's not a fortress, is it? You know, it's not like I don't think the fans and the players, I don't think that makes a huge difference at Arsenal. It's not like Anfield or somewhere like that where the fans are almost the 12th man. Where I think it would have even been more toxic.
Certainly not that.
Yeah, it's not that. You know, you know what I mean? We've seen people asleep in the Emirates before, you know, during the game.
One of those grounds where the crowd proverbially suck the ball in the back of the net.
No, it's not that. Listen, I think Arteta could have been unemployed right now if the fans were in the stadium. I've got to be honest. So, yeah, I don't think it's made a huge difference for Arsenal.
Yeah, and the fact that we finished 8th and we could possibly finish 7th this year, would you regard that as any improvement whatsoever?
That's how Arteta will dress it up, innit? You know, we've made progress. We've got a few more points than last year. Nah, listen, it's no progress at all. No progress.
No, because at this rate of improvement, next year we finish 6th.
So we're only, 3 or 4 years away from the Champions League.
Yeah, 2024 we'll qualify for the Champions League. I mean, it's just incremental progress. You just
one step at a time for Arteta, you know. Shambles. We've had more training kits than wins this season, Laurie.
Well, we've got another one now, the yellow one. If you've gone out and paid you 60 or £5 upwards for that one yet, or what?
No, I will not be going near this one, I'm afraid. They've done me enough times, you know. Adidas got me all hyped up last season, and this season I'm taking a backward step, man. You're going to see me in old kits, JVC, Nike kits. I'm getting the old ones out. I'm staying well away.
A reminder of the good old days. Yeah.
Yeah, bud.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, just to round off that particular segment of the show, listen, I've been very disappointed. And like I said earlier, with this kind of late run of 4 games in 4 in 4, it just kind of highlights, if anything, the mental fragility of this team. Because you think to yourself, well, you know, I mean, where was these performances when we needed it? Most notably against Villarreal in that semi-final, when we were absolutely woeful. In fact, this run kind of makes it look even worse, doesn't it? Because it makes you think that, well, we do have the talent within the team to do better. Yeah. This shows us that, you know, I mean, there are guys in this team that are capable of putting in good performances, but when the pressure was on, we couldn't do it. And that kind of worries me for next season, to be honest, because are we going to see a similar scenario unfold? You know what I mean? I mean, I know you've been bantering the team about no pressure FC and stuff, but you do make a very good point. When the pressure's off, it would appear that certain players are playing, you know what I mean? And it's kind of disappointing as a fan to see that, really. Well, even though we're grateful for the wins, but it almost sort of throws up more questions than answers, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, man, well, I guess we'll have to see how it pans out. But it will be an interesting last day.
It will.
Because like I said, there's so many different scenarios that might happen that I'm sure we'll all be tuning in, or we'll be very keen to see what happens. But hey. Right, so I guess that leaves our Ops of the Week then. The Danny Welbeck derby.
Wolves.
I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise you if he rocks up and scores on Sunday.
Oh, you could see it, couldn't you? He's playing well at the moment as well.
He is. Yeah, I saw him get a couple of good goals recently. He looks confident. He looks fit again, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be up for it this weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's look at some receipts for Brighton then. Our opponents this week. They're currently 16th in the table. They won't go down. They were relegation threatened, but they've been in some pretty decent form of recent, and have managed to get themselves out of it. Fair play to the players and to the manager. What's his name? Potter, is it?
Graham Potter, yeah.
Yeah, he's done quite well, hasn't he, really? Because I remember when he came into that job, there was a few eyebrows raised when he took over. They got Chris Hughton, who incidentally had kept them up. But the knock on Chris Hughton was that the football was pretty pretty boring. You know what I mean? So they got rid of him. Some people would say it was quite unfair, but hey, I think in hindsight, maybe Brighton will say, listen, man,
they've improved.
Vindicated, done a decent job. 41 points they've got so far this season. Won 9, lost 14, and drawn, is it 15 or 14? But yeah, listen, man, what's your take on that game?
Do you know what's just crazy there with you saying them stats? Brighton 16th lost 14. We've lost 13. That just shows how many games we've lost. But Brighton, do you know what? It won't be an easy game. Do you remember Unai Emery's last league game? Brighton rocked up. Everyone thought we're going to beat them. We end up drawing with them. They always seem to give us a tough game. Of course, we'll be looking at Basuma in midfield, a player that I think a lot of Arsenal fans want us to try and sign in the summer. He got man of the match against Man City last week. They obviously beat Man City as well, didn't they? So
yeah, they did. Yeah.
And like you said, Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, he scored a great goal in that game.
Listen, we should be, if we play well, we should beat them. But Arsenal are that team. You could see a situation where Tottenham are losing to Leicester, Everton are losing to Man City, and we go and draw or something to Brighton. So, no, listen, there'll be 10,000 fans there. These players must understand that the fans, how frustrated they've been this season. And, you know, I really hope they put in a performance. You know, I didn't even apply for a ticket. I didn't want to go to it, to be honest. But, you know, I hope they put in a performance for the fans, man, because The fans at times, I think the club take advantage of the fans a lot of the time, with all this stuff. And, season tickets are going to be the same price next year and all this training kit and stuff. So I think we'll grind out a win. To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Brighton will be professional, and I'm sure there'll be players in that team that will be up for it. We've spoken about Welbeck. I would imagine Basuma will be up for it as well.
Yeah,
in link with Arsenal, and I'm sure he'll be keen to, put on a performance worthy of him being in the shop window. And let's be honest, Brighton are a well-managed team. They're well set up from what I can see of them, and they do, they do play decent football. So
yeah,
I imagine it'll be a good game. To be honest, I mean, I haven't got a ticket, so I won't be there. Will you be at the protest on Sunday? Apparently, there's protest planned.
I might go down. It's difficult, isn't it? Because part of you thinks, well, this guy doesn't seem like he wants to sell, but I suppose at least if we play our part, at least we can say we did all we can. We just got to keep the pressure on. Look, there's two scenarios. Either he sells the club or he invests more money. They have to be the two scenarios, So you hope that the pressure.
What about if he doesn't sell the club and he doesn't
invest? Well, then we're back to square one.
That's probably the scenario that will probably play out. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, if that happens, we're all over the place then, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'll probably go down there. I think it's at 2:00. So yeah.
I don't think it's quite got the same kind of attention that the first one had.
No.
And I'm slightly dubious as to what this protest will achieve, because in the background we're seeing Daniel Ek. He submitted a formal offer to buy the club, was rejected, and I think the Cronkies have released statements in the affirmative saying, "Look, we do not want to sell," and that's about the only thing they say that I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So quite what the protest will achieve, I'm not so sure. And then, of course, it's on game day. So you don't want it to become too much of a distraction to the team, because at the end of the day, there is an important game. And, as we discussed earlier in the show, if they win it, things will accrue to them. So I'm pretty sure that they'll want to win that game. So I think even the people who are going out there to protest it's a kind of difficult situation for them as well, isn't it, really?
So, yeah, it is.
I'm not sure that's going to work out. But, so did I ask you for a prediction on the game, bro?
Yeah, I'll go 3-1. I'll try and be positive. I think we can get a few goals against Brighton. I think they'll probably get a goal. Wouldn't be surprised if it was Welbeck or someone, but no, I'll go for a 3-1 win to finish a disastrous season.
Well, you know what? It's Brighton have got absolutely nothing to play for other than, professional pride. They're going to come and roll over, I would have thought. We have actually got something to play for, albeit not very much. So you would have thought that the motivation lies with Arsenal. But and dare I say it, that little degree of pressure there might mean that we'll do what we've done a lot of times this season when the pressure's on. Turn up. So, but yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go. I think there could be goals in this game, man. I think it could be an end of season, sort of up the pitch, back, back and forth type of game, tennis type of game. So I'm going for some goals. I'm going for 3-2 or 4-2 or something like that for Arsenal. How about that?
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, I reckon there's going to be some goals. I reckon Danny will probably get one, but I reckon we'll score a few. I fancy Aubameyang to get a couple. He's not scored for a few weeks now, has he? It was amazing that he never got taken off the pitch the other day.
Well, I know. He leaves him on when he has a shocker, but then in the Villarreal game, when he's hitting the post, you're taking him off. But I prefer not to speak,
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm kind of thinking that I'm looking at the Everton game against Man City, and Tottenham's game against Leicester. And I can't see Everton or Tottenham getting anything out of those games in terms of a win. And I could see them getting a draw, but if they draw and we win, we will still get that 7th place spot. So I think, you know what I mean, your fears might be realised of those 4:30 kickoffs on a Thursday afternoon or 9:30 at night.
There'll be interesting watch-alongs, won't they? They will, 4:30 on a Thursday against some team you've never heard of.
Yeah, so, you know what I mean? But if we're in it, we'll have to be in it to win it. So
yeah, why not? We'll go I might travel to some of them, go to some parts of the world you've never seen.
If we do get in the competition and we do win it, it will be the first European trophy we've won in many a year since the early 1990s, I believe. We can sort of lay claim to be the inaugural winners of the Europa Conference League. You know what I mean?
They'll build an Arteta statue if he wins that, mate. I'm telling you.
But first things first, we've got to beat Brighton. It won't be easy because, like I said, they're playing for professional pride. They will turn up. They will try. There's no pressure on them. The manager will say, listen, go out there and express yourselves, and I'm sure they'll do that. So I reckon we'll get an entertaining game. I reckon we'll win. I hope we win. And on to the next one. But listen, bro, we're coming to a close. We're keeping the show short and snappy today. It's not like there's an abundance of things to talk about anyway, but we've done our best to try and put some optimism and some energy in. So, listen, man, thank you very much for coming on the show again and being as honest and forthright and as informative as you always are. Tell the people where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, man, check out the channel, Curtis Shaw TV. Still trying to get content out, and we could be doing watch-alongs in the Faroe Islands next season, so might be a bit different. But big up everyone for the support and yourself, Laurie. No
problem at all, Roy. Thanks for coming. I just want to say as well, if you do go to the process, you're in the area, as you know, we got our AFTV HQ, which is not too far from the ground, man. So come in and say hello. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're all meeting up, so we'll have some fun. But and to all the people out there, man, listen, thanks very much for tuning in again. We truly appreciate your support. Our numbers are growing, and I'm really grateful to you for that. Also, sort of engaging with people in the comments, man. We get some really good comments. People have said that they like the show, they like the introductions, they like what Curtis, the sort of the realness that he spits, man. So man, it's all good. Keep it up. Like, share, subscribe, and keep yourselves healthy, well, safe, and COVID-free. Smash the like button, and we'll see you next week. We're out.